Welcome back to another Rose City Reptiles video. I'm Joey. This is Rose City Reptiles, and in today's video, we are going to be working on the OG enclosure. This is my first TEGU enclosure I ever built, and I have spent thousands of hours probably just sitting down and looking at it. I love that. I loved getting home from work or coming home on lunch breaks and just sitting in the driveway looking at this enclosure. This is where we got the epic footage of Payload yawning. I'll show that clip right now. You guys can see, oh my goodness. These were the days. So I'm ready to get this enclosure set back up. Today, we're mostly gonna be working on getting it completely secure. I'm gonna go over some tips about what to check for to make your enclosures escape proof, because none of us want our tegus escaping. That's the absolute worst thing. So that's what we're gonna be going over today. We're gonna make this enclosure escape proof, get it up and running, and yeah, we're gonna have it for this season. So let's get started. I have plans to do something a little bit different with this video. I'm gonna talk to you guys about that a little bit towards the end. But right now, let's go ahead and check out some of the supplies that we're gonna need for this build. This enclosure has been out of commission for 2 seasons now, and I'm ready. I'm ready to put the work into it, get this thing ready for tegus, because we're moving them out in like 5 days. So you guys get ready for that. We're gonna be dropping that massive video soon. The biggest tegu unboxing ever seen on YouTube history is coming out very soon on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, especially if you're interested in following along this season and kind of seeing the ins and outs of breeding reptiles and what's that like for a family. So hope you guys enjoy this video. We're about to jump in and get some work done. Okay, so on the table here, here's the enclosure, and right here on the table, I've got some basic things set out that we'll likely need for today's video. I don't know exactly what we're gonna need or how I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna kind of wing it as I go, but I've got my drill, some wire cutters, a hammer, some snips, measuring tape, some wire, miscellaneous washers, some of these heavy-duty staples that you hammer in, some roofing screws, some other screws, and then some big outdoor screws. So just that gives you an idea of common things that you use when you're working on outdoor enclosures. Luckily I have this stuff laying around because we do this a lot. As you can see, we do it a lot. We do outdoor enclosures a lot. But yeah, I'm really excited to get this thing up and functioning. This was my very first outdoor tegu enclosure, and it has definitely seen some better days, but this thing is a beast. It's a beast. It's been moved from one location to the next, and it works fantastic. The first thing we're gonna do is get in here and start cutting some of these weeds out. Okay, so we officially have the weeds taken out. These things are looking better already. There's one, there's two. So first step done. We can now get into them, and I'm going to show you guys some of the mistakes I made when I built this originally, and what I kind of had to do to go back and make it work for tegus. Like I said, this was my first enclosure. I was learning as I was going, and it wasn't all perfect. Those that have been watching the channel for a long time know the tegu that we used to have, Houdini. She has been placed into a home now. We no longer have her here, but she earned that name living in this enclosure right here. So she actually did escape, and I'm going to show you kind of how she did that. So as you can see from the pictures, we used to not have this middle divider. It was just the wall, and I thought maybe they wouldn't be able to get over. Well, that was not true. That was easy for them to do. And so this got put up right after we built it, but there was another thing that had to be redone over the entire enclosure, and that was another layer of this mesh. I'm going to show you guys some of the original pictures of this enclosure, and you'll see that the size opening on we used fencing to secure the enclosure, and the size opening was 2 inches by 4 inches. That did not work. Houdini wiggled her way right out of the enclosure, and getting her back was an ordeal. She climbed out one day. I noticed that she was gone, and oh my gosh, I called into work sick, and I started searching for her. And that same day I found her in a house that was catty corner to ours that she had gone under. It was an abandoned house, nobody lived there, and that's probably why she chose it. They had like big piles of bricks in the backyard and everything, and the way I got her back was by tying a chicken foot to a fishing pole, literally. And I put that chicken foot right where I saw her. She had a little tunnel going under this porch, and she came out and she started eating that chicken foot. This is all a true story. I'm sitting there hiding in this yard, calling in sick to work, holding the fishing pole, and she bites the chicken foot and she starts to eat it. And once it gets fully in her mouth, I just like yeet the rod back and just yank her back away from there. And I just run after her and try to grab her. She gets away from me. She starts running like through people's yards, and I eventually net her and take this photo. And that is the last escaped tegu that we've had, because I came in here. One, that's whenever I started building that style of enclosure that are completely escape proof. I'll put a card right here at the top of the screen for those enclosures. But now this one, we're making escape proof today, but I've already done a lot of work in here. 2x4 farm fencing doesn't work. And so what I had to do is double it up, cross hatch it. Had to do one way and do another piece the other way. And so that's what we're about to do to the roof, but we've already done it everywhere else. You can see this is nice, a really great size. Tegus can't get out of that. That's the same thing that's been done to the bottom. Can't really see that because it's covered with substrate, but you can see on the walls here, you see every square, not 2x4, it is half the size. So it works really, really great. And it's extremely strong. And you can see I use these clips and these clips to fasten it together. And I did a ton of them. This enclosure at this point now is overbuilt. It's very sturdy, very strong, which is part of the reason why I want to get it fixed up and use it this season. So now that I've told you a little bit of the history, it's time to get up on the roof and show you what we're going to be doing, because like I said, the roof is the last thing that needs done. And we've already got our metal cut that we're going to be adding on to give us that crosshatch. You can see without it, these holes are too big. Tegus can get out of this. If you use this, your tegus can escape. Even large tegus, they can really just squeeze their body through. And I'll show you. So this is a 2x4. So what we're gonna do, whenever we crosshatch this piece, we're gonna line it up. And it goes on just like this. And you see how that makes the holes half the size. We're gonna fasten it down with those big staples that I showed you earlier, and we're gonna make this thing secure. And then in the very back, I'm thinking of adding a roof. Okay, that will provide some shade, and we have some roofing material right here. And so hopefully I can get some pieces that fit, and we can screw down to the top of the enclosure. Not sure how we're gonna get back there, but we're gonna figure it out. So, all right, next step. I want to decorate the insides. That's what I want to do, but I've got to go through it this way. Otherwise I'll decorate the insides and then I'll never get to doing the roof. And that's honestly, the roof is the boring part, but I need to get that done. So we can't have any tegus escape. That's not an option. So make sure you build your enclosures very strong. Learn from me, because I had one escape. All right, I guess we're gonna start fastening this roof on. Okay, so we've been working on connecting the top to this enclosure, and I have some tips for you guys to prevent escapees. So one thing that you want to focus on is your corners. If a tegu escapes, they're going to climb up the side and they're going to start testing the corners. That's what they do. So you want to overdo it on your corners. So you can see these staples that I'm hammering in, they are the best staples to use and they last the longest. You can see these. You want to overdo it on your corners. You see I have one here, one here, one here, one here, one there. Okay, just put them in, but also just along your whole border in the front. You know, I have them spaced out just about, what is that, 3 inches, about 3 or 4 inches apart, and that is going to give you a extremely strong finish. Like, they cannot push up and push that out. Like, it is impossible. I also put a little 2x4 in the corner. It helps with the door, but also it just gives me more surface area to attach the fencing to the enclosure. Okay, so we have it secured all the way around. I've hammered in staples going all the way down this row, that row over there, down the middle, and the entire front. Okay, so now this is my next tip. This is going to be a game changer. So what you want to do at this point is, you can see I have the fence, I overlapped it. That's important. You want to overlap your sides, and that's just going to add to the security. And then what we're going to do next is we take these pieces that are hanging over and we connect them to the existing wire. You see that? So we take it, twist it on there, and connect it. We do that all the way down the row, because the whole point of this is to, not only is this covering the top, but it's connecting to the rest of the enclosure. That's why we want the overhang, so we can connect to these pieces. I'm going to hammer in some staples into this board as well, and then also twist this around at every single spot. Now that that piece of metal is all fastened on to the enclosure, we took some measurements. We were able to find some roofing material right here. This is what's going to go on the back of the enclosure. Now, but the problem that we ran into is that the roofing material that we're going to put on comes to about right here, and that leaves a 14-inch gap where the metal will not be doubled up. So we're cutting another piece of metal and we're going to go ahead and just put it on, and it'll cover pretty much the entire enclosure, and then the roof will sandwich on top of that, making it even more secure. So we have our fencing rolled out. The enclosure is 97 inches wide, and so we are going to cut a piece right at 107 inches, and that is so we can have 5 inches of overhang on each side. All right, we got it cut. Time to put it on top of the enclosure, get it fastened in, and I'll be back with y'all. But yeah, we got the metal placed on top of the enclosure, and now I'm fastening it from the inside. Okay, there's a lot of fastening that's happening. So you guys can see metals all the way on top, all the way across, and stapled all the way around, twisted all the way around. That's all done. So now what we're coming through, we are connecting the two pieces of metal. You know, we're taking these little pieces of metal that we cut and we're twisting them around. Okay, that's to connect all 4 pieces that are up top all together. Okay, so that's been done, and then we just kind of come through and we put these where they're needed, wherever the metal's kind of not together. You know, if it's too separated, if I think that they could squeeze through one and kind of push through, and it's unlikely, but it could happen. I like to sleep good at night, so I'm putting a lot of these, especially in the corners. You know, we want to put a lot of these all the way around the edges, and several, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the corners to keep it secure. So that is what we're working on now. We've got this side just about complete and ready for the roof. Okay, and now we're going to make our way into this side of the enclosure, and start doing the same thing. You can see how there's a gap. So really I just want to pull that down and then connect it together with these metal zip ties. So okay, time to do this side, and then we'll be ready to put our roof on. All right, we did it. The roof, well, the metal on the roof is now complete, and to me personally, that is the worst part of all this. I've done so much metal twisting over the years that I'm just kind of done with it. But you guys can see it's looking fantastic. It's all sealed up, and now it's time to get this roof put on. And to fasten the roof on, we are going to be using these screws right here with the washer, and it has that rubber seal to keep it watertight. So get the roof on, start screwing it in, and I'll be back. All right, we're getting this roof attached. I got the easy side done. As you guys can see, I like to double up the screws, make it extremely tight, and then that also sandwiches the wire that we just attached to the top. It's sandwiching it in between the roof and the stud. So perfect. This thing, I've got to figure out, I've got this little, this is kind of a tight fit back here, but I can do it. And we've got to get it screwed in all the way around and down the middle here. So let's get after it. Okay, the next step I'm going to show you is extremely important, because the security of your roof it needs to be checked and checked and checked over and over again. I'm now standing in the new shade of the enclosure. Wow, Tegus are going to enjoy this. What a temperature difference from right here to right here. So we've got our roof on, and here is a very important piece. We added a board that comes right to the tip of where the roof is. Okay, so right at the start, screwed it into this board so it's flush with the top. It goes all the way across, flush with the top. What that's going to allow you to do is get a very tight finish right here between the roof, the actual roofing material, and the metal. Okay, let me show you how we did that. We screwed it in down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to take you to the top of the enclosure, where we then screwed the roof into that header board that we just added, and that makes this extremely tight to where nothing could squeeze out if it happened to get in between, up through this. So it's so protected, it's so safe, and it's definitely going to keep the Tegus secured. So what we have to do next, I got another board here, cut to size. We've got to do the same thing. So you guys, let me show you without that board what it looks like. You see there's a huge gap in between the roof and the metal. That board pushes right up against here, screws everything together just like this, gets pushed up, everything gets screwed together, and you get a really nice tight fit. So once we do that and get this one done, then it's time for the fun stuff, at least for me. Then we get to actually break into the logs and start decorating the enclosures. And I'm actually thinking of doing something different. Here's one of the logs we have. This is a big log. It's massive. And we have some more right over here. And we've got tons of woods to go and find some more logs. But yeah, we've got a lot of logs, and I'm actually thinking of doing something with this enclosure that I've never done before for the tegus. I'm not for sure on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But of doing like a semi-arboreal build out on the inside of the enclosure. I think it could be really cool. Just giving them some options to climb up to the top of here. So having some massive logs just coming all the way up to the top. I don't know about you guys, but I'm curious to see if they would use that. Over the last couple years, I've added logs into the enclosures, as you guys have seen, and I've gone up to like 4 foot, a little higher, and to my surprise, they were all over it and using it constantly. So I'm like, what if I built it up 6 foot? You know, what will they use that? Is it safe? You know, like what if they fall? Maybe, you know, I'm thinking of, I don't know. So I've got some ideas running through my head. I think it could be really cool just to experiment and test it out and see if the tegus will climb to the top, and how much of their time would they spend up there anyways if I did offer that. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm gonna sign out now. I've been out here for hours now working on this. Part 2 to this video, us decorating the inside. The actual fun is gonna be uploaded probably here in a few days. I'm gonna be working on it before we get the tegus moved out. So it's crunch time. We're getting it done. This is actually part 2 of this spring getting ready series, and so part 3 to this video will be uploaded here in the next probably couple days. So I'm gonna be on it, and that's actually the fun part. So I'll be out here tomorrow working on that enclosure. Whew. All right, thank you guys so much for watching another Rose City Reptiles video. If you are excited about this season, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you're excited to see, and if you like this type of videos where I just kind of show you what it takes, taking you guys along. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.